Oh, you gotta taste this! It's got this kind of burning, melty. It's not really a smoky taste. It's a certain. It's kind of like a. It's got like this boom, sap kind of taste. Don't you think? What would you call that flavor?
Lightning-y?
Yeah, it's lightning-y.
Ooh, I can cook that. If you are what you eat, I only want to eat the good stuff.
What's up, hungry people? I've been thinking about this lightning mushroom puff literally since 2007, and I am determined to figure out the most authentic way to make it. There's gotta be a way. So if you're into making foods from your favorite movies, books, games, and more, don't forget to flip that sub button to keep your feed fed. Now, let's set the scene, shall we? In Ratatouille, Remy is tasked with making sure that all of the food that comes into the colony is free of rat poison. In his quest to eat food that's better than garbage, he learns how to find Oh no! It's the first time. I guess we're doing it with this now. He learns how to find high-quality ingredients, which leads him to finding a chanterelle in the French countryside. His brother Emile has a much less developed sense for food, but still somehow manages to find some tomme de chèvre du Pate, which I actually went on my own adventure to find an authentic version of here in my own foodie city of Cleveland. Remy also gathers rosemary and dew from sweetgrass, so we'll need to find both of those ingredients as well. He notices the chimney and decides to use the smoke to cook the mushroom, which fortunately for us, I have a smoker that's safely located on the ground that we can use instead. But unfortunately for Remy, a storm is approaching, so I guess that means we have to wait for a storm too. Finally, he sneaks into the kitchen to find l'huile saffron, also known as Italian saffron, which is an expensive spice that became Gusteau's signature flavor. Now, I've been brainstorming this recipe for over a year, and even went as far to make a connection with a local forager to locate real chanterelles and tested a version of this recipe last year. And I will say, as somewhat as a chef myself, that Remy's recipe is missing an essential mushroom preparation technique perfected by the French, duxelles filling. But we'll get to that in a few. Now that the scene is set, let's cook.
We'll start with the chanterelles, which can be hard to find in most average grocery stores unless you get super lucky. In my case, I made friends with a local woman who forages in undisclosed locations to find incredible mushrooms. These chanterelles were picked fresh for this recipe, but if you can't find chanterelles, you can totally swap in regular button mushrooms for whatever mushrooms you can find at your grocery store. I'm all about finding and trying fun mushrooms, so if there's something new that you want to try, it'll probably work in this recipe. Chanterelles have an incredibly distinctive smell, almost like apricot or something sweet, which is how Remy was easily able to find them in the movie. It took me 2 seasons to test this recipe because the growing season for chanterelles is very short, and if you miss their peak in your area, you likely missed the entire season. We'll take our washed chanterelles and turn them stem side up on a baking sheet. Chanterelles will cook down as they lose their moisture, so you'll need a lot of them to make enough filling for this recipe. We'll pop them into the smoker for about 30 to 40 minutes. I basically smoked mine just long enough to cook the mushrooms through and get a really smoky flavor locked in. While the mushrooms are smoking, we can make the choux pastry. Also known as pâte choux, this French pastry literally puffs up when baked. And I don't know what's better to make than a mushroom puff. So to make the choux, we'll combine water with chunks of butter, a sprig of rosemary, and some of Gusteau's signature flavor, l'huile saffron. This saffron is considered to be the best in the world, and the price tag for acquiring some is steep, so feel free to swap in cheaper generic saffron if you're in a pinch. It's still expensive, but it's worth the cost to make this mushroom puff taste authentic. The saffron will start to dye the water yellow as it soaks. We want the water to be just below a simmer and only heat it long enough to melt the butter completely and get some of the rosemary flavor soaked into the base. Next, we'll remove the rosemary sprig because too much rosemary can be overpowering. Next, we'll completely turn off the heat and add in all of the flour all at once. Do not add it in slowly. It literally will not work. You have to add it in all at the same time. Then turn the heat back down to low and continue to cook lightly until it's paste-like and doesn't stick to the sides of the pot when stirred. Then we'll want to remove it from the heat entirely and set it aside to cool for a few minutes. When the choux is no longer steaming hot but still warm, we'll transfer it to a stand mixer to cool a bit more. While the choux is still sort of hot, we can add in tomme du chèvre de Pate. Unlike most chèvre cheese, which is typically found as a soft goat cheese, this tomme du chèvre is a firm goat cheese that is sourced from small towns in France. Emile was literally so lucky to get his paws on some. I had to go all the way to the West Side Market in Cleveland just to find some myself. We'll shred about 1 cup of the cheese and add it directly to the warm choux and mix it in well. It should start to melt into the warm choux as it all gets stirred together. When the cheese is mixed in and the choux is still a little bit warm, we can finally add the eggs. We'll add these one at a time until a smooth dough comes together. Be sure to scrape the sides and bottom as you mix everything so that everything is stirred together nicely. But take care not to overmix. When the choux is pale in color, it can be transferred to a piping bag with an extra large French tip. The choux can then be piped onto a baking sheet lined with parchment or a silicone mat. The choux should hold the ridges of a French tip if made correctly. When all of the shells have been piped, we'll want to use a tiny dab of water to tap down any points on top. These will be our mushroom tops, so we don't want any weird bumps. Then we'll grate some more of the tomme du chèvre over the tops of the choux. Then, finally, pipe little stems for each mushroom top. And make sure you double check to pipe enough for the tops, and maybe even a couple to spare. The choux will then bake at 425 for like 10 minutes, then we'll reduce the heat to 375 for another 20 minutes or so. At that point, we'll want to pop open the oven and poke little holes into the bottom of each to let the steam escape. This is how the choux stays hollow and makes it easy to fill. Then we'll let the choux cool in the oven for another 15 minutes or so to really make sure the steam is fully gone and that the choux pastries are lightly crisp. While the choux cools, we can make the filling. The chanterelles have finished smoking, and as you can see, they've significantly cooked down from what we started with. We'll toss the chanterelles into a food processor and then grab some dew from sweetgrass. These are actually some fresh chives from my garden, and I noticed that when you pick them after it's been raining, they start to release the water trapped inside. I'm thinking that this is maybe what Remy grabbed instead of grass. But regardless, we'll add all the chives, dew and all. Now we need to do some improvising. When I first made this recipe a year ago, the smoked chanterelles alone packed a powerful punch. Almost too much of a good thing. So I'm going to make some sauteed onions and add them to the mixture as well. This will help to balance the smoky umami flavor of the mushrooms with a bit of caramelized sweetness. And makes a French duxelles. Finally, we'll add in the remaining cup of the tomme du chèvre to really pull this into a proper filling for our puff pastries. While the mushrooms and onions are still warm, blend it all together to make a thick paste. The cheese should melt a bit as it comes into contact with the warm ingredients to make an incredibly unique and savory mushroom filling a la duxelles. And again, I'm probably saying this wrong because I'm not French. Duxelles is a French mushroom paste that's often used to make beef Wellingtons or similar dishes. But when mixed with goat cheese, it becomes an entirely new flavor that works beautifully with the saffron and rosemary choux. We'll just need to transfer the filling to a piping bag, then find where we poke the holes to allow the steam to escape, and pipe in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the filling. Try not to overstuff these mushrooms, as the mushroom filling works best when balanced perfectly with the crispy choux exterior. Then we'll stick one of the choux stems into the bottom of the mushroom to finish off the mushroom puffs. Now all we have to do is wait for some lightning. I'm not kidding when I say I've been kicking around this idea for well over a year, and honestly, I am so excited with how it turned out. It's the perfect blend of buttery, crispy choux and cheesy, savory smoked mushroom filling. The only way I can describe the flavor is what fictional piece should I make next? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please help a small creator who's trying to grow by flipping that sub button and ringing the dinner bell so you'll be notified about my latest recipes and foodie adventures that I post every week. Do you ever get hungry? Don't forget you can find this recipe and many more with ingredient amounts and step-by-step instructions over on thestarvingchefblog.com. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Oh, my neighbors think I'm weird.